And we're live, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Welcome to the imho.love show. I'm Lou Angelwolf. This is Mike Murburg. I got my grandpa shirt on today. This is from the Steve Baird collection of similarly dressed men.
Shop at Goodwill too, huh? Hit that light, will you, Lou?
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. We are our own roadies here. Welcome to the imho.love show, folks. I'm Lou. That's Mike. Here we are at Area 52 in the beautiful Darby Ranch. This is where we have the monthly CE5s, the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, or the HICE, Human Initiated Contact Experiences, right here. It happens right on the other side of that wall. And we'll tell you all about that this week. And it's 21st of July, 2021. It's scorchingly hot.
It's only like 93 degrees in here, but it's dry.
Yeah. Well, you keep the humidifiers or dehumidifiers going, yeah.
Keep them going, but apparently one of the AC units crapped out.
So we're a little moist up here in the studio, but we're really happy to have you here. Thanks for tuning in to Facebook Live. This show is live, unedited, and it goes the way it goes. Our friend Kathy McGuire puts this show out on YouTube and BitChute and Podbean, and of course the homepage imho.love. Feel free to like, subscribe, and of course on YouTube, all those kind of things. And here we are on Facebook Live making the tape. So welcome everybody. It's been a really interesting week or so. We're gonna, there's something, I guess. Okay. Jeff Bezos sold himself a seat on his own rocket, and I don't even know about that guy. I don't even know about what that all is, man. The jury is so out on all that. And
he could have brought water to the Africans. He could have fed the poor. But he goes for a rocket ride.
Yeah. So
I think Tulsi Gabbard was right.
Yeah.
She was okay with it as long as he wouldn't come back. I'm right there with her.
How long are they gone for?
I don't know, but it was only like 50 miles.
Oh.
It's like me congratulating you for making a drive from Clearwater. It's like,
I do it every week.
Yeah, and then the thing was, that's consistency. But yeah, he had to do Richard Branson one better,
Oh, yeah.
And did you see the rocket ship he went up on?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, it looked like something out of penis phobia or something.
Yeah, Fatalica. Phalica, or whatever.
Or I don't know, that old, yeah.
Yeah, what was that sex space movie?
Yeah, I actually watched it when it came out many years ago.
Yeah, of course we did.
Flesh Gordon.
Flesh Gordon. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, it was
like a prop from an old Flesh Gordon movie.
Look at the logo for Amazon.
Yeah.
It looks like the bottom side of a penis.
It does look like a boner.
It does, and it looks like some guy from the bottom side who's a righty.
Right. It's got a mild case of Peroni.
Right, exactly. I mean, let's face reality here.
Yeah,
He's a dick. Top it off.
Yeah. You know what though, Mike? I don't know how he could not be a dick. Okay, the position that he's maneuvered himself into, he's a multi-billionaire, I guess.
He's a made man by the CIA.
Okay, and those guys admire dicks.
Yeah.
Donald Rumsfeld was there. There's guys with Rumsfeld tattoos on their thighs.
Yeah. But they get nowhere in the cosmos.
Yeah, they got to come back. Do over.
Yeah, they're the top of the ant pile.
The top of the ant. Yes, they're just hoisting crumbs all their days.
Yeah.
And they ain't getting it with the queen, baby.
Well, yeah, it's like the old Buddhist tale where this Buddha is sitting there and this prince comes in. He comes with his entourage and he expects the Buddha to be impressed, and he shows the Buddha his wealth and his entourage and his, large entourage, and then the Buddha like claps his hands, and then as this prince is, sitting next to him, an army of 10,000 ants come marching in, and the prince says, "Well, who are they?" And he said, "They were all once princes just like you."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
I like it.
There's a lesson in that.
Absolutely. Oh, sure. Well, that in your home over there, there's a little plaque in one of the rooms that says it's about karma. It says, while the bird is alive, the bird eats bugs. And then when the bird dies, the bugs eat the bird.
Right.
And
either you eat the bear or the bear eats you.
yeah, exactly. I don't want to wind up as bear poop.
Yeah, no.
And the bear probably wouldn't like the way I tasted. But but that and we both had an unusual week. I'll start out. How you doing, everybody? Thanks for listening, watching, and all of our regulars. We love you. Like it, share it, subscribe it. Whatever you do with this is fine. We don't really care. We don't own words. We're donating our time. Last week got to be a pretty heady show towards the end of the night. And I'm out here in Area 52. It gets a little dark at night, and by the time we're done, it's dark. You'll watch the sun go down as you watch the show. And I say goodbye to Mike. I'm parked out a little bit. I stop, little rest stop there over in the bushes. And as I'm turning around to go back to the toaster, my car, I go back to the toaster, and behind or next to the big palm tree out there, I see a dark, shadowy figure move. From there, once I saw it, it moved back behind the tree. And it gave me the chills. And I'm not easily duped. It wasn't a shadow. It wasn't the car door open. It wasn't anything like that.
It wasn't the CIA checking us out.
Well, it could have been. Could have been.
Wasn't human.
If it was the quickest, thinnest, lightest human being I've ever seen in my life.
So probably not.
And as I'm trying to absorb what I just saw, I sat in the car for a couple of minutes. I knew you were tired, so I didn't want to go in and bother you. And if we started talking about it, we'd be up all night. Or we should have just turned the camera back on and done another show. But whatever I saw was real. And it gave me the cold chills.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was talking to Sue on the phone on the way home. Right, we're chatting. And as I come around down Aaron Cutoff, I look outside, and I encounter it again. Maybe it could just probably seeing it again in my imagination. It wasn't nearly as present as that.
Right.
Okay. I see a little shadow of a person like seated in a car. Remember the old Hertz commercials where the guy used to glide into the car?
Yeah.
That's for the rental cars.
Yeah, before O.J. stole them.
Before O.J. did what he did. But that was what I saw, and it gave me the serious chills again. And then by the time I made it to 41, I had the chills at least 3 total times, and it was creepy. It was, it was unusual. It was something I'd not experienced.
Well, you got to pass the old Aaron Cemetery up there.
Yes.
Anyway, was it north of the cemetery or south of the cemetery?
I was north of the cemetery.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, speak up a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've had my ghost encounter experience out there.
Oh, out there? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, and so that, and in fact, I talked about it for a couple days, and I kind of just put it away. I was going into the weekend, and there was stuff to do and things, and we had the Fire the Grid on Monday, and I never got a chance to talk to you again till earlier today.
Yeah.
And when I retold you the story, I got those chills again.
Yeah.
Just the recall of it.
Yeah, I did too. There's something going on there.
Yeah? Oh, you did too?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, once again, that's where your intuition is. It makes you feel it. It's not intellectual, and we can talk about that later. But it's your intuitive self.
Yes.
So, yeah, it doesn't scare me anymore. I have no fear of anything or fear of death. And I mean, if it came into my house, I would have said, "What the hell are you doing here? You got to knock."
Right.
You know.
Right.
But sneaking around the bushes, you're scaring my friend Lou.
Yeah, exactly. So I was trying to sort it out all week, and then as I retold it, it just came back. And just so, and I think what it was is last Wednesday when we did the show, we really were, it was quite a spiritual thing. I think we recalled the sighting that we had the week before.
Yeah.
With some accuracy. And also, folks, I don't know how many of you know much about Area 52, our loyal listeners and friends. I know Nanette's out there, Mark's out there, John, Dave, Daniel, Debbie. You guys, thanks for staying in touch throughout the week. The Area 52 here, it has quite a history, with the extraterrestrial contact, but there's like a lot of animal spirit out here. You've lived here a long time, so there's pets that have been buried here. Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
actually, it's a historical area because somewhere around here, they don't know exactly where, the Dade family had built their homestead, and it was the last Indian massacre east of the Mississippi that happened within 2 miles of this place, where the Dade family had their house. They knew the Seminoles were on the warpath. They didn't have a time to get to Fort Dade, which is up the road about 12 or 14 miles, so they stayed at home. They were attacked, and their daughter, who was an 8-year-old, was shot trying to get from the smokehouse back to the house. Was shot by the raiders. So this has a history of stuff like that.
yeah, well, and this is a Confederate war site. I mean, there's one of those historic markers.
Well, yeah.
Right up the road.
Well, that's actually from the Dade.
Is that what
site. Yeah,
that you just told about?
Yeah. That was public land, so they slammed it on there. It was like somewhere around here.
Somewhere, yeah. It could have been here.
Well, it probably. This is the highest elevation within 5 miles. It has potable water and ponds on each corner of the property, and it has a free-flowing stream exactly a half a mile to the south. So there's potable water, excellent soil, high elevation for drainage. So it's a perfect place to build a cabin. So one of these days I'll poke around with a
divining rod.
Well, or with electronic.
Electronic divining rod.
Yeah. I hazard to think where it is, but I know where if I were going to build here and it was virgin land, where I'd put the cabin. So I'll look around.
So you really think there was something? There was some sort of spirit entity.
There was a violent death in this area when there was anything around.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a homestead, and probably the closest homestead to it was another 2 or 3 miles away. There weren't other homes. This is an area where, a spirit could easily roam. So.
Okay.
But to the extent that there are spirits, but which there are, nothing to be afraid of. Nothing out of the ordinary for those of us who live in a paranormal universe. And everybody else thinks we're crazy, but we see things that are there, and it's like the orbs. With Kim in the group 2 months ago. Hardly any. There are only a few people that could see the orbs, and she was lucky enough to have them come out on in her photograph. So a lot of times people are seeing things that are there, and
She was holding it.
I know. But a lot of times people will see things that you can't see, and they're nonetheless real, and they're nonetheless there. And just because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not there. It's like that car I hit.
The invisible car that came out of nowhere?
Yeah. Sorry. No car hit, but it explains the point. So.
Yeah. Well, that being said, this is the perfect place to do what we do. We call them Sky Watches, HICE, CE5s. Once a month, when there's no moon, which is the optimum sighting, because we get less light pollution from the ground that way, I guess.
Right.
We come out and in a meditative state, we offer our spiritual contact to our extraterrestrial families, friends, and whomever, neighbors, whoever they are out there. We don't really know. There's no way to know. But if you're guided by spirit in your life, to expose yourself to these things is very important. I think, anyway. Because what happens, I know people that are intuitive. I know people that have they have empathic qualities, but they just sit there quietly and they just let it bounce around inside their head, and they don't exercise it or find out more about it or learn to use it in a more effective way. A long time ago, I was in Israel, 1999 as a matter of fact, and I sat with a rabbi, and a rabbi told me a story about the best and highest use for things. You've heard me talk about this before. And the subject that he used was the best and highest use of a stick. There's a stick laying on the ground, and at that time, the stick was a bridge for ants and whatever to move around. Well, then somebody picked up that stick and made it a prop for the door. So now the stick, its use has improved. Now it's holding a door open for human beings to come and go. Then somebody takes that very same stick that was merely a bridge for ants weeks ago and whittles it down and turns it into a cane for someone to walk with. That is the best and highest use of that stick. It went from a piece of wood in a field to helping people move to helping ambulate a human being. So
screw the ants.
The ants will find their own way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll study them and learn hydraulics. But when the stick was made into the walking stick or the cane, okay, that was its best and highest use. Each one of us has an internal spirit. We have a spirit that you can develop. We have a spirit that you can improve. We have a spirit that you can sift through and make it functional. I recently went through this whole thing last few months of dealing with jealousy, and my little phrase is jealousy is the dross of love. When you have those jealous feelings, a lot of times those are generated because you care about something or whatever, or a person, and then a situation jumps up about the jealousy.
Well, jealousy is a negative inanimate spirit.
It's a negative inanimate spirit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is, and it's real. Mm-hmm. It exists, and you can get rid of it. You just recognize it for what it is, embrace it, so you know it better the next time it comes along, and let go of it.
Yeah, but this is something that I've been kind of dealing with a long time in my life. And I'm not outward about it. You know, it kind of sits inside of me and festers a little. And I think what happened, probably where the whole thing got accelerated, it was like my 16-year-old girlfriend, okay? I was so crazy in love with that girl, man.
Now, how old are you now?
16.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'm 16. She's 16.
Okay.
This is Florida, not Alabama. So, so anyway.
They changed the law after that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, then I found out that she was dating my boss, who was 33 years old.
That hussy.
And dude, and then I had to work with the guy. And I know he's, the whole thing was just a convoluted Florida 1970s hillbilly sexual freedom bag of shit. Okay? But it really was, I've identified with that feeling time and time and time again over the years. And it came up, I don't know, several months ago. And I finally said, you know what? It's time to put this thing away. And I was going through my notes and I noticed some of the notes that I wrote about it. And you're exactly right. What it is, and most of jealousy is, besides being the dross of love, it's my little quote.
I like it.
It's good. But most of it, what it is to me, it's a couple things. The curse of there must be more. Okay, means I'm missing out on something. Something's not really happening here. And the other thing is, I'm superimposing my will and vision on reality. Okay, this is the reality that's happening in front of me, around me, to me. Okay, I'm experiencing it this way, and it's causing this old trigger to pop up.
Yeah.
Well, at my age, that old trigger's done, rusted shut.
Yeah, and buttermilk ain't much good either.
So
Roy Rogers joke.
That's true. So anyway, I've learned to really put that feeling away. And accept, again, walking through the Tao every day. You learn to accept the world as it is and stop superimposing your ideas, your ideals about the way you think a situation should be.
Right.
It is the way it is. And I got to tell you, friends like you, Linda Martucci, who's also my hypnotherapist, has really, really helped me work through a lot of this stuff. And my goal, like I said, the best and highest use of me, okay? When I was a young guy, and here I am, reading on the air or presenting on the air. When I was in school, when the teacher wanted somebody to read out loud, I was like, oh, me. You too?
No.
No, you didn't like to read out loud?
No, it was leave me alone. I'm a dyslexic.
Are you dyslexic?
Oh, hell yeah.
Are you really?
Horribly so, yes.
I didn't know. You
Yes.
hide it well.
I do.
Well, me, not being dyslexic, loved to read out loud. So that cultivated, and then I got into sales, and then I was in some clubs in high school, and I learned to be the president of those clubs and stuff like that. And then I got into stand-up comedy, and then I learned how to speak as a comedian, and the heavy part there is making people laugh and hear your words. And then and then I got into radio, and as all that has progressed, here I am now. The best and highest use of my speaking talents, my reading talents, my communication skills is to identify with everybody out there. Thank you so much, Steve, my cousin Steve, watching, my mom, my sister, Chris, Tina, Yvonne. Thank you. I was making notes, everybody that was listening the other week. And thank you all so much. But my best and highest use is to take those skills, get the dross out of the way, get the problems out of the way, and then present in a heavier, not a heavier, but a more meaningful way of the things I've learned. I've had a lot of spiritual experiences. I've had a lot of spiritual growth, if I can be so bold. Humility, of course, is the most difficult thing to maintain. And the big catch there is, how do you know how well you're doing with your levels of humility?
You don't think about it.
You don't think about it.
No.
Okay.
No, humility, natural humility, is just part and parcel of following the path of the way of the Tao.
Okay.
You don't even worry about it. You become. There's an evolution in this all. Matter of fact, it's a good segue here. You know your story about the cane. Well, and we're going to get back to compassion. But what the highest use of the cane that you gave me, I thought the guy was going to carve it into a Torah reader.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, there you go.
But no, that would not be the highest use.
Right.
At least in my opinion, the cane would be of the highest use because the cane would be a response of compassion to the need of someone in pain.
Yes.
So the cane was a consequence of compassion, which would be its highest use. Now, this past week already, we discussed it. Yeah, we didn't have a chance to see each other, but I had a near-death experience, out-of-body experience, and it was very, very strange. I had company at the house, and then when the company left, I sat down in my chair, and I'd had dinner, and then I just
What time of night is this?
About 7:45.
Okay.
I fell asleep. Well, maybe 7:45, 8 o'clock.
Okay.
I fell asleep, and then I was woken from the sleep with a massive attack of dizziness.
Okay.
And I had difficulty breathing, and
and you're alone in the house now?
Alone in the house.
Okay.
And I'm in my easy chair, and then all of a sudden my cognitive faculties changed, and I came to face the conclusion that I was dying. Whether I was or not is irrelevant, but my last words as I literally died was, I contemplated the Maker and said, "Thank you for it all." And then all of a sudden, after I said that, there was a transition, and I transitioned from where I was along the space-time continuum, whatever you want to call it, and all of a sudden I appeared in the future in front of my old childhood house, and it was being torn down.
Okay.
And I wasn't standing on the roadway. I was about 25 feet off the ground, and I was looking at the house. It was older.
Like a bird's eye view.
Yeah, the trees had changed. They were bigger. They were that. And then after contemplating that, then all of a sudden, and that was my total consciousness. That was my being. That was my presence there. And all of a sudden, I'm brought back into my chair again, and I am completely drenched with sweat.
Okay.
And there was still some vertigo going on, but it wasn't so bad where I couldn't get up and get to my...
And you remained seated the whole time?
Remained seated the whole time.
You didn't fall out of the chair or anything?
Didn't fall out of the chair. When I came back, I felt my pulse, and the pulse was regular, the pulse was strong.
Okay.
And it was like, wow, okay, I'm alive. This isn't a dream. This is all happening. And then I made it to my bed and laid down in the bed. And then, I suffer from Meniere's disease, but it's been a few years since I've had an attack. And it usually happens in March when the barometric pressure changes and the temperatures change from winter until springtime. And then I get it again in the fall, but I hardly ever, I've been suffering this for 30 years. Get 2 attacks a year, but never in the middle of the summertime. So even if it was a Meniere's attack, it's still combined with other elements.
Yes.
To create this out-of-body experience. And what I ended up doing was leaving my bed. I was, vertigo with me when I have a Meniere's attack leads to projectile vomiting, and I empty my entire upper digestive system out. It's violent, it's painful, it's messy. So just out of abundance of caution, I went back and went into my bathroom, which I had fortunately cleaned 2 days earlier, spick and span, washed the rugs and everything else. And then I laid down, and then the rest of the experience...
You laid down in the bathroom?
I laid down in the bathroom on the rugs I had there, rolled a couple up.
You were near the commode then?
Near the commode.
Gotcha.
And then, I stretched my legs out, and then it was just like the ayahuasca experience I had like a year and a half ago. It was the same, you're in the fetal state, there's really nothing you can do, so you just surrender yourself, to what's happening, and it was that profound. It was as profound as the ayahuasca experience. The
Really?
whole thing. Yes, absolutely. And it made me contemplate death. It made me contemplate life. And then this past week, I revisited absolutely by chance the 2 chapters I'd been writing on the Wahoo Ching, chapter 34, which is the soul, death, and rebirth. And
Wow.
then chapter 35, which is insight, intellect, intelligence, and immortality. And, you know, the drafts are pretty close to finish, but I posted them on imho.love this week. But it brings things down, and there's not enough time in the show to really discuss it all in depth, so you can read it. But what it brings things down to is a recognition of what is pure insight. Now, everything you go through, whether it's intellect is a function of the mind, it's a function of the body. Intellect dies with you when you die. You don't carry it with you into the next life.
Well, human intellect would have little value on the other side, I believe.
Right, it has none.
Okay.
It has none. So if you're going back to the subtle realm, which is where all things are created, it's where the creator, the heart of the creator of the Tao exists, if you want to speak of it that way. So intellect is nothing. It's all about insight. Okay? Insight adheres to your soul, and it gets you from one lifetime to the other, and eventually what Lao Tzu taught, and what I've learned through studying the Tao, that this insight stays with you, and your goal is to completely purify it. And how do you purify it? How do you get pure insight? And what's the end game for pure insight? So as you work on your pure insight, you get to the point where you realize that, you know, the Tao is the intelligent energy behind the nature of all things, and the force that births and creates all beings in the natural order. The nature of the Tao is that of ultimate compassion. Brings you back to the cane. It follows that our experience of compassion gives us great insight into ourselves. From that compassion flows natural altruism.
Mm-hmm. Love that word.
Yeah, it also humility, impersonal, indiscriminate, and selfless love, and the giving of oneself to and for the benefit of others. These are the essential sources of pure insight and manifest the Tao's underlying eternal essence and the purpose for immortality. So,
Wow.
the pure insight that we get is, it's all a function of our compassion. You don't have insight unless you can develop compassion. And once you develop compassion, then you become a being of pure insight.
Wow.
And
That's beautiful.
and that's how the story ends up. So if you want to find the particulars and, you know, what the 4 eyes are.
But you posted this on imho.love.
Yes.
And then is it on your Facebook link too?
Yeah, it is. I post on all 4, so anybody
Okay.
who wants to follow it gets it. And I apologize, the chapter 35 went to press a little bit early. I wanted it to at least be somewhat available for today. So,
Yeah.
but that's it. But once again,
But to me, the most interesting part of that story was when you said thank you for all of it to this spirit that was obviously present.
my last conscious thought as I was dying was thank you for it all.
Thank you for it all.
Yeah.
And then after that,
I was in
everything changed.
Right. I was in Norwood, New Jersey, staring at my house.
So I know you, okay? So this is unusual and very, very interesting. But what I would tell those people is, if you notice, the hinge point here is Mike's expression of gratitude. When he accepted everything for how it was, I'm sure if you'd have passed that day, there's things you still want to do in life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finish the book.
Finish the book. Go to
I think
Idaho.
the world needs stuff like that.
I know you gotta make it back to Idaho.
Yeah.
But that inflection of gratitude was the game changer.
Right.
Okay? So if you're really looking for your huckleberry, if I should be so old and flippant,
That's okay.
if you're really looking for the catalyst that will move you forward in your spiritual growth, the first thing I would recommend, and the show is in my humble opinion.love. The first thing I would recommend, in my humble opinion, is to find your level of gratitude. Start out with the simplest things. And that will, accepting your life as it is, and I'm sorry if you have a hard life right now, but a lot of it is your perception of how hard it is. And when you're grateful for everything that isn't hard, that is going your way, and because I don't think anybody, if you have the ability to listen to this show on a computer or whatever, I don't think you're outside the realm of everything in your life is a complete disaster.
No, but this is all a spiritual test, and none of this was made to be easy.
Right. And that's completely true, because I talk about this is a Steven Wilson lyric, the guy that wrote is the main songwriter for Porcupine Tree. A lot of us have the curse of there must be more. The curse of there must be more. And when you realize that there really isn't, there doesn't have to be more to your situation, you need to learn to accept your situation as it is and stop being wanton of it, of the change, and allow yourself to adapt to the change of the natural flow of the world, instead of being angry at what you don't have or what you haven't accomplished or where you're deficient. Be thankful for everything that you are so far and build your base there and start to go up, instead of digging yourself a hole and then starting from down there. As it is right now, you can find something in your life to be grateful for. The love of a person, the love of a child, the love of your dog, whatever it is, and start building your gratitude towards that. And as Mike just mentioned, as he's going through this out-of-body experience, this near-death experience, his expression of gratitude turned everything.
It was a massive influx of insight.
A massive influx of insight.
Yes, and insight is what gets you from this. Insight is what you accumulate in your soul, in your spirit, that you take with you when you leave this life and go to the subtle realm and then come into the next.
Yes.
Okay? Insight is where you carry it all. It's not the intellect and all the knowledge that you've accumulated. It's not your instincts. But it is partially your character as well, which is something that you can develop during life. That's chapter 35. But there's something in chapter 34, and these are sort of the words of Master Nee. They're not my own, but well, what he teaches is, whether physically alive or dead, or in this life or another, the character of our existence is determined by the energies to which we connect ourselves while alive. So if you're connecting yourself to negative energies, you're really screwing it up. Okay? I had a guy write to me this morning and basically tell me that my activity on this show was a matter of validation. And he said it in a pejorative way. So
Right.
I was like, validation? Why? I haven't done that since I had to get a parking ticket, like, validated so I could park for free, and I don't have to do that anymore. So I looked up validation, and you know something? It's perfectly normal.
Yes.
But the thing is, I don't do this show for validation. I do this show because you're my friend. I do this show because there's something worth talking about that people need to know, to help them find their path spiritually so they can get through this test.
Yes.
Okay? You know, think of me as your prepaid tutor, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
and what Master Nee goes on to say is, in our present incarnation, attaching ourselves to soul deadening or toxic activities create long, painful, and tedious lives. So long, painful, and tedious lives are not good.
No.
So when you do have to attach yourself to people and things, make sure that they're positive. This also is reflected in reincarnation as well, and that we don't talk about that much, but it's also part of the contact modalities. Near-death experience, out-of-body experiences, things like that. Reincarnation. In my book, reincarnations as reincarnation. So
yes,
I come from that both on a scientific perspective, and from a spiritual perspective, and from the perspective of an experiencing realist as well. So, people do come back. And the reason they do come back is because for one reason or another, they become associated. I'm a believer in soul families. They become associated with people,
yes,
groups of people that when they pass, they come back to help them, with even greater insight that they had gained from their prior lives, to help people that don't have enough insight or sufficient insight to get to the next level. And that was part of the download. Part of what I got on October 3rd, 2015 was, you keep on working at this level as a human being, and then you get to return either as a human being, as if you choose, which is what is taught about bodhisattvas, and it's also the message that you transcend your humanity at some point in time. You can reincarnate as some entity other than human beings that are of a higher natural and spiritual order. And these are the extraterrestrials and the non-human intelligences that we encounter out here. These are the groups that we are associating ourselves with so that we can live higher and better existences that are not soul deadening or toxic. They're soul enlivening and they're soul intoxicating.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing, all of our CE5 people, our HICE groups, our Skywatch groups, all of you that are watching the show, listening and sharing, liking, whatever. I feel like such a pimp when I say that. We really cherish you. And Mike goes through, he donates this property, our time. There's a lot of work and effort that goes into putting on these meetings, be they ever so humble and be they ever so organic. We don't want any carnivalism here. This is as organic of a group of people that you'll meet. And the thing I've noticed about our HICE people is they're wonderful people.
Oh yeah. They come here because they're researching and they're looking for spiritual answers to spiritual questions. And it was so gratifying last week when the last ET showed up, because after
that was beautiful, man.
One showed up and not everybody caught it, but when the one that showed up at the very end and everybody caught it, everybody, you could tell on their face they were beatific. I mean, they had a vision.
Great word.
They were quiet. They were somber. They were moved.
Yep.
They weren't chit-chatting about things. They were like, wow, we have just associated with a higher spiritual being.
Yes.
And it felt good.
Yes.
I mean, these are not the human beings that are, saying, you only have that show for self-validation.
Well, I got two things to say about the self-validation person, okay? First, he may be a little jealous, or she may be, whatever that person is. They may be a little jealous, okay? Because, well, Mike, you're,
Well, we're two old farts. Who's going to be jealous of two old farts?
Another old fart.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
another old fart who's not doing anything with his time. Okay. They may be a little jealous because he has within him or her, whatever it is, they have within them the curse of there must be more. And they feel it inside of themselves like they're not being fulfilled. And the other thing about validation is my beautiful sister Michelle and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Validation is pretty important. One of the main problems that people have as they grow up is the communication within their house. their home, their household. I was very, very fortunate. I have a very loving, a very caring mother, and my mom always told me, I never doubted for a moment that I was loved. My dad, too. I never doubted for a moment. But my dad was a lot harsher of a critic, and that was his level of communication. But my mother always validated me. If I drew a picture, if I got a B plus on a paper, it was always good. Oh, honey, that's great. I always had that validation coming from my mom. Okay?
That's good.
And there's a lot of people, well, like especially like, and I noticed this time and time again because these people are in my loop. Those that work in a family business, okay, a lot of times they have huge voids of self-validation because of whoever the grand poobah was, whether it was your mother or your dad or whoever was running the show, the salon, the shop, whatever it was, and when you reached out for self-validation, they never gave it to you.
Yeah.
Okay? And for those of you who know me, know I'm a car guy. I've been around cars since I was raised in it. Okay? And I have bought and sold thousands and thousands and thousands of cars and trucks, and I probably scored a profit on 95% of them. Okay? Some big profits on some good buys as well. And I remember this. Here's the self-validation thing. Was my brother and I worked with my dad, and my dad would say, we'd sell a truck and we'd make a nice profit on it. And I go, hey, we did pretty good on that one. I'm handing the paperwork in. I'm handing in a pile of money. I'm handing in, And the old man would say, yeah, but we're just a bunch of overrated lot boys. Okay? Minimizing this. I bought the truck. I reconditioned the truck. I buffed the damn truck out. I vacuumed this. I did everything. I merchandised the truck. I put the truck in the newspaper that brought the customer in. I got the customer financed at our finance. I wrote the deal. I collected the money. I got the insurance. I bolted the tag on the son of a bitch as it rolled out the door. I'm not a glorified lot boy.
Yeah, that was in their time. That was typical because they weren't very well aware of positive reinforcement. In it costs them nothing, and it does the world for a kid or somebody else. I worked for Jimmy Russell, who was the state attorney for the area here for almost 5 years, and one of the conversations he had with me early on was, don't expect any attaboys from me. You're just expected to do the best damn job you can possibly do when you work for me. If you screw up, I'll be on your ass like
whatever.
Yeah. And it was like, okay, well, this is not going to be a fun place to work. And it was awful. It was an awful place to work because there was never an attaboy. You could win an incredible trial that was, impossible to win, and you get the conviction, and there'd be nothing. That's just what was expected of you.
What'd we hire you for?
Yeah, and it's not a good way to run an office.
It's
not good leadership style, So let it go.
Right.
Let it go. And your job in life is to be a better, father. Not saying that there was anything wrong with your dad, but we learn from their mistakes. And what we can do through our own example in showing other people, how to live, righteously in the eyes of God, as you would say as a Christian, or I would say as a Christian. That's how we show people the path, and it's the same path as the Tao. And what we're here to do, and I'll read once again. I know we're getting ready to wrap up, but what's our purpose? If we've gained spiritual insight in one life, we may return in the next to manifest that insight and knowledge to the extent that we're able to guide and help our loved ones in former and present lives evolve and refine their spiritual natures, and thereby transcend the sufferings of the material world and help them ultimately to enter the immortal realm where further reincarnations are no longer necessary for spiritual evolution and refinement, but are voluntarily engaged in for the same purpose of spiritually assisting others.
Amen.
That is the goal.
Best and highest use.
Right, and best and highest use. And if we're not here to help each other in the physical world, okay, why are we in the physical world? And if we're not here to help each other in the spiritual world, then why are we in the spiritual world? There's no other question. There's no other answer.
You're exactly right. You're exactly. How are we doing on time there?
Oh, we're running up against it. But once again,
where are we at?
Yeah, 8:22.
Oh, we're good.
CE5 brings spiritually minded people together, and those who aren't so spiritually minded, they show up once or twice, and it's a freak show.
Well, they were looking for something else.
Looking for something else,
and that's fine.
And they're of another spiritual order, or
their cycle is on a different cycle.
Well, their insight needs glasses.
Okay,
and eventually you take off the glasses, and then you understand what your purpose is. And this isn't my purpose. This isn't your purpose. This is a universal purpose.
Yes.
This is why non-human intelligence. This is why ET comes to help us. They are doing for us what we are supposed to be doing for each other.
Yeah.
There is no difference in their souls and ours. It's the same universal soul.
Amen.
So
true.
Once people get used to that, they're not going to be worrying about the government giving them disclosure. They're not going to be worrying about any of that stuff because they know we're connected in this life and in the next, and there's no getting out of it, and it's a good thing. All you got to do is engage.
It is absolutely amazing to gather with those people. And just as an aside, by the way, I wasn't trying to put my dad down. I'd pay $100 just to have him call me an asshole again. But on the sidetrack, these people that we meet out here, I've met the most beautiful souls out here. People, and then people that you like automatically trust, or people that you automatically, you just like them. And then sometimes you get one off to the side and you get to talk to them, and you really find an absolutely beautiful person that you might have noticed them at the store or, at the racetrack gas station or whatever. But when you get to talk on that level, you really find some absolute wonder. And some of the things that people have been through and their resilience, you'll find them out here. These are people that sorted out a lot of stuff in life. And if you're curious about the CE5, HICE, Skywatch, whatever you want to call it, email Mike at darbyranchce5@gmail.com. That's DARBYRANCHCE5, the number 5, @gmail.com. Mike will direct you to the meetup page. There is protocols for you to read, things for you to understand. For those of you outside of our reach, we strongly suggest looking through our site. There's lots of stuff to do. But if you're looking for a guide, Celia Hatch has written a guidebook, a CE5 handbook. It's free. It's a free download online. You can order a hard copy. I think Jeff Bezos is selling it too. So that's a CE5 handbook by Celia Hatch. She'll tell you everything. They keep it organic like we do.
Yeah. Speaking of organic, did you see where Tic Tac came out and they have a new meme out and it says "We Believe," and there's like a spaceship and it's putting its light down and there's like a package of Tic Tacs underneath it. It's like Contact has gone mainstream.
Of course, yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, hey, let's
let's pimp it all out.
Let's pimp it all. Let's get a sponsor. We can have Tic Tac signs all over the fence in the yard.
Well, that's what we had.
Little baseball team.
That was the big deal last year with the flu. The flu had a sponsor last year.
Yeah.
A multi-billion-dollar sponsor.
Yeah. Too bad Fauci is going to go to prison.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching the imho.love show. In my humble opinion, .love. Love is what it's all about. Love is a suffix you can get for your website as well. And that's, in the end, that's the only thing that's going to save your soul. like
Save your soul from a life of pitiful boredom and
yeah, Sturgill.
toxicity.
Yes,
you know.
exactly. The toxic people. Sturgill Simpson says, "Love's the only thing that ever saved my soul," and I love that line. That's in Turtles all the way down the line.
We like turtles.
I love turtle. There's always turtles, dude. There's always turtles. Think go all the way back, as far back as you can think. There's turtles.
Yeah.
Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, BitChute, Podbean, imho.love. That's the mothership. Here we are on Facebook Live. We leave the shows up as long as they'll keep rotating. Do whatever you like with it. Share it. Give it to your friends. If there's something we said, you can isolate it. You can edit it. Whatever you want to do. These shows don't get edited. They don't get cut up. We'll give you all the raw footage.
They're not even copywritten.
They're not. And we're espousing some brilliance here from time to time. So, ladies and gentlemen, we love you so much. We do the show every week because of you, or as many weeks as we can. We're not going to Idaho, so we'll be doing shows all summer.
Yeah, in the sweltering heat. It was 93 when he got up.
93 in the studio. I'm a little verklempt. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I'm Lou Angelwolf. That's Mike Murburg. We'll see you next Wednesday night at 7:30. And thank you so much. And here we go. Got my grandpa shirt on. I feel like I'm in line at Golden Corral. Let's see. Hi, Linda. And there's Daniel. All right, our beautiful. Thanks for all the hugs and the kisses, everybody. And, there's Scott. Y'all be well. Catch you next week. Shazbot. Thank you, Daniel Miller.